So the 10 records that I listened to the most, there's actually 11 because I couldn't decide at the end between a few. Uh, these are not necessarily my favorite records, and I don't listen to them because of the vinyl quality or anything. These are just the ones that whenever I'm looking for, whenever I'm not sure what I want to listen to, I end up grabbing these over and over. It could be on the turntable, could also be digitally, could be on CD, in the car. They're just which means that they're all amongst my favorite records. But I just did I browsed my collection and tried to pick out the ones that I always turn to. So here it goes. I just realized I should have had Blood on the Tracks in here. I listen to that record all the time, but I didn't see it, so I didn't grab it. So let's get started. Number one is the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed. This is my go-to Stones record. I listen to it in the car all the time. I have the box set that they put in our box set. Yeah. Where is it? Yes, the Rolling Let It Bleed box set. I have a number of copies of this and just love this record so
much.
Gimme Shelter, Love in Vain, Honky Tonk, or Country Honk, sorry. Let It Bleed. It's just a tremendous record, and I love it, and I listen to it all the time. The White Album by the Beatles. This is my go-to Beatles album, even though I don't know, Abbey Road's probably my favorite, but this is the one that I just like that it's sort of a mess. It's sort of and I mean that in a good way. It's just all over the place. I listen to this record all the time. It's just sprawling, and there's that cool story about that guy who, I think he only collects the White Album. I read it somewhere. He has like 5,000 copies of the White Album on vinyl because there are like so many different pressings. And number three, not a surprise, Uncle Tupelo, Anodyne. This is, I used to always cite Still Feel Gone as my favorite in my top 10 records. There are many times when I would say Still Feel Gone was my favorite record of all time. But this is the one that I go back to the most. And this is their last record, arguably their best. I think all four of their records are 4.5 to 5 stars, but this one is definitely 5. So this came out in '93. They broke up not long after it came out in, I think, May of '94. Obviously, Jeff Tweedy from Wilco, Ken Coomer, who was in Wilco and Swag, and I think he's now a session musician in Nashville, and of course Jay Farrar, Sunbolt, Jay and Jeff. Random prediction, but I think these guys are going to play some shows together. Why not? Maybe 30 years. Maybe at Solid Sound, 30 years since they broke up. 94 to 2024. I think Solid Sound is next year. Just an idea, guys. Speaking of Solid Sound, I discovered this artist at Solid Sound, Joan Shelley. I talk about this record all the time, Over and Even. I think it's a perfect record, and I listen to it. It's such a good record for calming my nerves if I have like a big call or something, I don't know, or something that's got me thinking a little bit too much. This record can really relax me. So wonderful record there. The Jayhawks Sound of Lies. It's the Jayhawks record that doesn't get talked about that often, but it seems like historically it's going to be considered one of their best. And this is the record they put out when Mark Olson left the band. This came out in 97. My brother Lane talked about this record all the time. He was a huge fan of it. It's a little bit, it starts off the man who loved life, great song. Think About It, great. Trouble, great. It's Up to You, great. Then it gets a little bumpy. Big Star, Poor Little Fish, not not so great. And then it comes back so strong with Haywire, Bottomless Cup, and just the gorgeous Sound of Lies title track. The River. This copy my mother bought me at a garage sale, I believe. You can see on there, it says $7.50 or $7. I remember one day when I was just starting my record collection, I was probably 10, I came home one day and this and American Beauty by the Grateful Dead was on my bed. My mom had picked them up at a garage sale. Still have them, still listen to them. I wonder where these were before. Thanks, Mom. I think the Grateful Dead was $10 and The River was $7. The River is sort of similar to the White Album for me. Like, a lot of great songs, and it's a little bit of a mess. A couple not so great songs. But I absolutely just love The River. The Ties That Bind was a song that connected Lane and me. As well as The Price You Pay. We loved that song. And this was the show that I talk about in either 92 or 93 when Lane and I saw Bruce on the Human Touch Lucky Town tour. When I told the story of us driving around in the parking lot looking for the exact right people to tailgate with, and we drove around for about an hour. It was probably like 2 in the afternoon. Show starts at 8 or 8:30 or 9. And we passed a group of people that were playing Sherry Darling from this record. Everyone was singing along, and Lane just said that's the group, pull in behind them. And we did. And we hung out with them all day. They were from Long Island. I remember I found a business card that one of the gentlemen gave to me a couple years ago, and I think I've since lost it. I think his name was Tony, Long Island. So I found the business card from, 30 years later? Or at the time, 25 years later? I probably found this in 2015, so 15 is at 22 years later. What a day that was. One of the best days of my life. We had so much fun. I just keep going back to it, and this is rising the ranks of my all-time favorites. Been really taken lately with John Sturrett's bass playing on this record, which isn't talked about nearly enough. Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, Wilco's masterpiece. I think Wilco had 3 great records, and they were in order. Being There, Summer Teeth, and Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Obviously the peak period of Jay Bennett and Jeff Tweedy, but this record, it just holds up so well. I never really liked Heavy Metal Drummer, and now I listen to it all the time. I put it on playlists all the time. I love it. It's one of the greatest. Sorry, I have the receipt still in here from when I ordered a signed copy of this. This is the Gillian Welch record, The Harrow and the Harvest. My friend Mark loves this record, and it's the record that I keep going back to. Her pressings, I think they pressed them on their own, on Acony, if that's how you pronounce it, Acony Records. And it's some of the best pressings I've ever heard. I have 2 copies of this. It's such an incredible record, and the sound is it's why we buy turntables. This is a mood record, right? Sam Cooke, Portrait of a Legend. Tremendous pressing, has all his best tracks. I think Sam Cooke has the greatest voice in the history of music, and this is the record that I go to. Just unreal. 2 more. So there's 11. I remember I said there's supposed to be 10. Townes Van Zandt, Live at the Old Quarter. This is a go-to all the time. When I think about these 11 records, it's really the ones during COVID that I kept going back to when we weren't leaving our homes much. These are the records I just kept kept going. This is a Vinyl Me Please reissue, which is gorgeous. Just an awesome album cover. Everything about this. Townes Van Zandt live at the Old Quarter in Houston, Texas, on the great Fat Possum Records. And finally, this, at least in the last year, this is the one I listened to the most. Son Volt's debut, Trace. What a record. 5 stars. I grow to appreciate this record more and more. It's obviously, I've shared the story so many times about Lane picking me up at Cincinnati, as they call it, the Cincinnati Covington Airport, in 1994 or 5, and him playing the demos from this record, which some of them are the demos that appear on the deluxe CD version. I think it's out digitally too. But I bought this at Newberry Comics in Boston in 1995 for $10. For a while, I think this was going before it was reissued a couple of years ago. I remember seeing it on Amazon for $1,000. And mine's damaged from so much usage. I don't know, so much use. You can see the bottom of the sleeve is torn, but there are many nights when I'm thinking about my brother, thinking good memories, and I put this record on to close out the night, and it's like he's sitting in the room with me. My other brother, John, when we were in Chicago, in Lane's apartment, when we were looking for him, he played this, and it feels like it just ties my whole life together. Sorrow, the great moments, it's a really important record to me. And Lane has this, or had this in a poster, a beautiful poster, a poster that I also had, and his good friend John sent it to me. And that poster is now in my bedroom, framed, the frame that Lane put around it, and I look at it every day. I think of him. Son Volt's Trace. A little bit of gear shifting. Shifting gears. I talked about, or I did a few videos. Did I do 2? Yeah, one from Edinburgh and one from London. Or maybe there's just one. And I saw Bruce Springsteen twice and Billy Joel once at London's Hyde Park. 3 nights in a row. Bruce, then Billy Joel, then Bruce. Bruce, of course, I loved. The second show, we were in a better position, so the sound was a lot better, and it was just a fantastic night. Just looking across a crowd of, I don't know how many, 100,000 people, 75,000 people. But Billy Joel, which I was not intending to go to, and then I had a meeting, or I had to be on site earlier in the day, and I was close to the venue, and some friends were just saying, why don't you come? So I did, and it was tremendous. I could not believe how good Billy Joel, what a great performer. And I think more than anything, it took me back to my youth with Lane. We heard Billy Joel as much, if not more, than Bruce Springsteen in our household. So the sort of bookends of seeing Springsteen, then Billy Joel, and Springsteen, it really hit me. But Billy Joel was just so much fun. The songs were great. So when I got home, I bought the Billy Joel Volume 1 records with Piano Man, The Stranger, 52nd Street, live at the Great American Music Hall, which I can't wait to listen to. That's in San Francisco. Billy Joel, the Vinyl Collection Volume 1. One of the great things that Lane, and he was sort of on both sides of this. He could be just like I can be, just a little over the top in our judgment of not judgment of music, but what we think is great versus what's middle of the road. And I tend the stuff that I'm not a fan of, I tend just not to talk about because there's no need. Other people love it. Doesn't mean I have to love it, and vice versa. The stuff that I love, a lot of people either don't know or haven't taken to. But Lane was also also lacked any pretension. I don't know why I'm using all these words that I'm not sure how to use. I'm really tired. I have no idea why. Bennett got me up at 4 a.m. to go out and use the bathroom, which is our area outside. So I'm a little bit off. But Lane, he liked what he liked. Like, I have a lot of his Spotify mixes, and maybe I'll put a link to those. I think they're public. But like Billy Joel, stuff that like cool indie rock folks like myself and my brother would maybe scoff at. Ever since my brother passed away, and I can't believe it's been almost 2.5 years, but he has opened my mind to so much music that I had sort of turned away from. Billy Joel being one, the Eagles being another. And I'm very grateful to him for that. Because if you like the music, you like the music. Who cares what the Counting Crows, right? We both love the Counting Crows. Their first 2 records are great. But listening to some of these Billy Joel tracks, Goodnight Saigon, I remember listening to that in my bedroom on a turntable. I think it was the Live in Koleep, wherever Billy Joel played in Russia, which I'm trying to find, which I'm going to get on vinyl, because I had it as a kid. It was one of the first records I ever had. And I remember Lane coming in and sort of just listening to the record with me. And it's weird how you forget those moments, but then they come back when you hear the songs. And a lot of that happened that Friday night in London. Piano Man, Vienna, just a lot of songs that are wrapped up in my childhood. The good, some not so good, just life, right? So I've been loving Billy Joel, and I would like to try and see him again. Although I've seen him twice. I saw him, I think in the late 90s at Yankee Stadium, Billy Joel and Elton John, I believe it was. We were by the left field foul pole, right where we were for the 1996 World Series when Lane caught a foul ball, or a ground rule double. But it's just been a treat. It was great to see him. I'm really glad that I went, and I thank my friend for pushing me to stay. That's all I got. Mental health. I'm going to do that video. I've been thinking about it. It's July 23rd, the first one. I think it's the first part. It might be 2 or 3 parts. The first part is going to be my story. I can only speak to my own, really. And I'll be doing that before August 1. So back with that soon. Thanks for stopping by. Watch the Big Thief performance from Pitchfork last night. Wow. They might be the best band going right now. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.